Welcome to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Wong, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. This is a place where you'll be guided to living your most aligned life so that your truest, most radiant self can emerge. We'll be jamming on topics ranging from spirituality, entrepreneurship, to wellness and lifestyle design, and everything in between that can support you to grow, evolve, and shine, all the while not taking ourselves too seriously. So if you're ready to step into your leadership, break through limiting beliefs, own all of who you are, and expand in abundance, grab yourself your faith cup of tea and let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Sacred Emergence. It's Michelle Wong. This is episode 2 of Big Dreams in HD. So if this is your first time listening, welcome. This might be out of context for you. You may want to go back and listen to Big Dreams in HD number 1. And so this is almost like a mini series within this podcast that I am sharing. And it's my journey of big dreams, big adventure. And I'm tying in my human design along the way. So you can really get a sense of like what it means to embody your human design. And I feel like the best way to really share human design is through someone who is experimenting with it or who has already embodied it and seeing how someone's chart really comes alive for them. I feel like that really shares the power because we can always go down the rabbit hole of, well, if you have this, then it means this. If this, it means that. Because of this center that's undefined, then it means this. But it's all just information until we actually take it in and understand what it feels like in our body. And so I have, for 2021, we're in 2021 right now, I'm really tapping into just all the aspects of my human design and using that as an experiment to pave in with travels, because I am like when we start stepping into our big dreams, there's so much resistance that comes up because it's totally outside comfort zone. Even though this is like, travel 2.0 for me, in terms of putting things in storage and basically uprooting my life. It's a little bit different this time around. So with episode 2 of Big Dreams in HD, this episode is still relevant in terms of its information as related to human design. I talk about my profile, my 4-6 profile in this episode and how it's showing up for me. But in terms of the actual logistics of the country, that is shifting. So in this episode, I talk about Thailand. I recorded this episode at the end of the year. And by the time you hear this episode, I did my live at the end of December. And you're going to get this January 18th of 2021. So I've been a little bit less fast with putting these episodes in podcast form. But just to let you know, it's a little bit outdated because Thailand is number 2 on my list. It turns out that there's a potential for Bali, and Bali feels like a better fit for me. It's just right now I'm just keeping my eyes open on the visa situation because right now with just the state of the world, doors are still closed to Bali until the end of the month, but there are people last year who were able to get in at the end of the year. It's just a very special visa. So anyway, I wanted to share that to give you a heads up. And of course, if you want to follow me more real time, I go live on Facebook. And I don't really have a schedule. It's as it comes up, like, oh, I have something new to share with travels, and that's in alignment with my human design. I will absolutely do a live. And then I do share that, and here it's just a little bit slower. So anyway, enjoy this episode. If you are wanting to learn more about human design, I do readings, and I have my HD embodied mentorship and guidance. Those are the 2 that I just so love right now. And then my mastermind, I have a wait list for. So if you are wanting any of that, please reach out. I might have hinted at the end of my talk, my Facebook live talk that I'm going to reshare here. the special is no longer relevant because it's no longer end of the year. And also, there's something else I wanted to say. Oh, yeah. And then I have a random story at the end of this episode that I also shared because it was related to travel. So you'll get a little bit of peek into my life. And what's interesting is like I love doing my podcast. I love using my voice, and it is very much in alignment with my ego authority as a manifester. So there's, I love to talk. So anyway, enjoy this episode. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'll put links to the show notes around human design offerings. If it's something that you want to have for 2021, it's available. I have a few quote unquote bundles and different aspects of if you want to take your human design journey further or if you're wanting to get started. So my DMs are open for that. And I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful week wherever you are listening to this. Hang on to your seats. I think in general, like January's, it's been a really crazy month so far and we're not even 3 weeks in. And I just invite you all to always go back to compassion, deep breaths. And it's so easy to, I think it's so easy to make judgments. And when we're in pain or there's confusion and pointing fingers and, even in my own microcosmic world of just even going through travels and having to navigate this whole process and connecting with friends and asking friends for help. And, we're all going through stuff, right? We're all going through stuff. And it's really easy to always just put the spotlight on ourselves. And it's so easy because we forget that, other people have their own lives and they have their own priorities. So this whole journey has invited me to look at the bigger picture. And emotional mastery is so important to be able to really navigate our own emotions. And remembering it always comes back to inner leadership. So important. So I just thought I'd throw that in there because January has been such an intense month already to the start of the year. And just talking to my astrology friends, there's a little bit more of intensity coming. And in the midst of all of this, like at the end of the day, it's our own inner work. And for me, even it's been an emotional journey of like this big dreams in HD is it's a big dream and there's so much resistance to it. And along with that, a lot of stuff gets pulled up in the process of moving towards big dreams and the resistance and the challenges and like all the things. So as fun and dreamy as it sounds, like real life, like there's challenges that emotions come up and all of it. So this in and of itself is a personal journey. And I just invite everyone who's listening to tap back into compassion and to know that like at the end of the day, I believe that everyone is doing their very, very best. And to just remember that. So lots of love. Enjoy this episode. I'm here if you have any questions. And and logistics, I'll also share the actual the Facebook Live link in the show notes in case you actually want to watch it. Because sometimes I'm showing things on the screen that you can't really see through the podcast since it's audio only. So I'll definitely share a link to that and you can enjoy that as well. So take care, more to come. Hello friends, Michelle Wong here, coming to you live for episode number 2 of Big Dreams in HD. I'm going to share this to my group. All right, how are you all doing? If you are catching the replay, #after party, my batteries might die, so I have a backup little battery charger all ready to go. So how are you all? So for those of you who don't know, Big Dreams in HD is basically my story of adventures and upcoming potential travels. I say potential because it's not a done deal yet. And I'm weaving in my human design as much as it's relevant to the story, because I think it's super fun to weave in human design. It's been so amazing to just actually watch my design unfold as I continue to embody, and it really makes the work come alive. So if you're tuning in live, please say hello, tell me where you're from. If you know your human design, please let me know what design type you are, your authority, your profile, all the things. I am a manifester with ego authority, and my profile, which is what we're going to talk about today, is 4/6. Yeah, so let me rewind a bit. So this is episode 2 on, I don't know when I did episode 1. It might have been over the weekend or earlier this week. But I was sharing how intuition versus informing. So as a manifester, my strategy is to inform. And I was basically sharing how the difference between following what I felt was safe versus actually following my strategy of informing. So if you haven't tuned into that one, that is, check my video section. I also have that uploaded in my private Facebook group, Sacred Emergence, and I'm going to convert it into a podcast episode. So for those of you who want to tune into my podcast, it is Sacred Emergence with Michelle Wong. So, okay, I'm going to share what's been unfolding. And again, let me know where you're tuning in from and your human design type. And then if you also have similar situations that's happened to you, I would love to hear. I think travel stories, or just the potential of travels, is super, super exciting. So I've already shared kind of what sparked, what planted the seed of upcoming adventures in my last episode, and this is like a continuation. So where I'm still in the research stage, I'm still in the planning stage. The goal in mind, the destination in mind, is Thailand, and I had back in May got the seed planted. like the idea came, it was suggested, and I sat with it. I had a lot of resistance around basically uprooting my life again, putting everything in storage, all the things for international travel. And of course I love traveling. Of course, if I could just hop on a plane right now, I would go. But with something that is as big as this type of travel, it takes a little bit more thought, more energy, and I would say a lot more energy. And so my desire is to travel abroad for a while. If it wasn't for lockdowns and border closing, I'd already be there. And so I heard back from the embassy, in the Thai embassy, and I shared in my last video that they gave me a list of requirements for this special visa. Thailand is actually opening their borders to the entire world with a specific visa. And so because it's so specific, the requirements are gnarly. I should bring, oh my God, I'm gonna bring with you, I printed out the requirements, because I'm like, oh my God, this is like 5 years ago, I went to Bali. I went there for 2 months, but I was planning to do more travels. So I literally put a lot of things in storage. I released my lease, my apartment, and I just had to fill out a little bit of paperwork to get my 2-month stay in Bali. It is not the same as what it is at the moment for Thailand. I would totally go back to Bali if they would let me in, but they're not open for tourists right now. So let me grab you. I'll be back. All right, so I printed out the requirements, and this all ties in with profile, my 4/6 profile, which I'll also talk about in human design. But basically, when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, there's like, I just have to go through it all, not a biggie. So I read it, and I was like, cool. So this is part 1, all the things that's needed, pre-travel. This is for applying for the visa. And then that's all I thought was needed. So on the page, I think there was like a block of something, an image. So I just stopped reading it at the image. And then when I went back to the site again, I kept scrolling. I'm like, oh my God, there's more requirements. So it continues to page 2. And so there is, for the visa, requirements, and then there's instructions for, you know, when you're at the airport, when you arrive, all the requirements. But basically it's getting the visa. That's the most important. And this is where part 2 of this episode begins. So with this visa, there's just a lot, like there's the quarantine for 2 weeks that I have to pay out of pocket for. And basically it's 2 weeks of being locked in a hotel room. I cannot go out. And I think they will come in and test for negative virus, I think 2 to 3 times. And I think like maybe after the first or the second time, it's negative, then I can go out to maybe like the exercise room or to the pool. I can't swim in the pool, but I can lay on a lounge chair, right? And I'm pretty sure like after like a week of being trapped in a room, would be like very exciting. And I was thinking, you know what would be really fun for like, what would help me survive 2 weeks of quarantine is just like send me some jigsaw puzzles, a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, maybe 2 to 3 sets of it, and that would occupy me for 2 weeks and I'd be really good. And then feed me, right? Yeah, I hired Vivi Dom just to help me with some travel ideas and travel stuff, and because she is a very experienced world traveler, and she's like, how can we make this work? How can we get you jigsaw puzzles when you're 2 weeks in quarantine? But that actually sounds horrendous, but that's like the least of the items that I was concerned about. So there's the visa application process, and then there's like situation in where I live in Seattle. I have a couch that I'm sitting on. I have a very swanky, heavy mattress that I cannot lay on its side. It was an investment for me to get my mattress because I really wanted one that is luxe, is comfortable. I love sleeping in it, good quality sleep. Like, so I was like, what am I gonna do with this mattress? Like, I either need to store it flat because it's so fancy, I cannot lay on its side. And if it's like for a week, fine. But this is like if I'm out for, you know, 9 months or more when other borders open up, I don't know, this mattress is not going to survive. And so if you're tuning in, please say hello. And so I was like, okay, so I got to do the logistics of the visa, and the requirements are insane. They even need proof of payment of where I'll be staying for the entire duration of when I'm in Thailand. And I'm like, I don't even really, like, I don't know. So there's a lot of just requirements. And then there's all of my stuff. And this time I feel like it's more complicated because I have more stuff. And for whatever reason, I have more attachment to my stuff, like my mattress. This couch that I love, the reason why I bought it, good thing, is that it's light, it's made of teak, and then the couch itself, the cushions come apart. I can lift each segment up, so it's very portable. So anyway, with all that said, I was like, oh my God. So 5 years ago, when I embarked on my Bali adventures, literally doors opened. It was like serendipity. I was renting from a more like, I was renting from like more of a, what are those? Like an actual apartment where there was like a management company and all the things. So I had to like, you know, you have to tell them like a month or 2 before you're going to release the lease and then do all the checks. So that was a little bit complicated. But besides planning the timing of that, everything just opened up its doors to me. So what happened was, before I left for my trip to Bali, I needed a place to stay for even 2 weeks because I had to release my lease. I couldn't just rent for 2 random weeks. So I had to let it go, and I was like, okay. And then when I come back from Bali, I don't want to sign another lease in Seattle. So I was like, I have to find a place to stay. And so I reached out to a friend just to ask her if I could stay with her for 2 weeks before my trip to Bali. And she's like, yeah, that sounds great. Happy to. And you should know that so-and-so has a separate cottage home that faces the water in their backyard. You should should like reach out to them and see, you know, maybe for, you know, like a nominal fee price, you could just rent from them. And then when you come back, you can stay at that cottage. I kid you not, that was so serendipitous because it flowed exactly like that. Like I paid my friends the cottage rent, and I stayed there for I think 3 to 4 to 5 months when I returned from Bali. It was so nice. And then I had friends that were traveling for weeks and they needed someone to house sit. So just opportunities kept opening up. And this was 5 years ago when I was planning for my Bali trip. It just lined up. And then I didn't have as much stuff, so putting things in storage, I paid for storage, but I had plenty of friends who allowed me to store the bigger items in their homes. So it was very, very easy. This time around, I feel like it's a little bit more complicated because the cottage home is no longer available, and I don't actually need it at the moment. So this is what I wanted to talk about with my human design. I have a 4-6 line, and this is for anybody who has a 4 or a 6 in their chart, especially the 4. I think this 4 is most relevant. For those who have a 4 in their profile, basically everything that you need comes through you, through your existing network. And that's exactly what is pretty much happening right now, which I'm floored that it's like things like doors are opening, knots are being untied, and like the opportunities are really showing up where it's like here. And so I was so stressed about my mattress because I'm like, well, I don't know who has a spare room that can fit a queen bed. And I reached out to some folks and, you know, it didn't work out. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to sell it. I think I'm going to sell it. I don't know who wants to spend how many amounts of dollars, but I'm going to give it a try. So that is on the list. And I reached out to some friends to see if they would have space. And one reached back out and was like, I don't have an extra spare room, but there is room in my garage. If you have a mattress cover, we could totally lay it flat. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is amazing. Because ideally, I mean, I don't know, like I decided to sell it. So if I can't sell it for the price I want, if it doesn't work out, then I actually have a home for my mattress, my very expensive mattress. I'm not even going to tell you how much it is. Unless you want to buy it, DM me. It's an IntelliBed. I can say that. It's an IntelliBed. So it's incredibly luxe. I love my mattress. I mean, we spend half our time in a mattress, or a third of our life in a mattress sleeping. So I always say it's smart to get good shoes and a good mattress. And so that is checked, right? There's a solution for that. And then my visa. Okay, my friend has a friend. My friend has relatives, close relatives that live in Thailand, and she connected me with her relative, and they are able to help me with this. Like, literally, like a load is off my shoulders. They're able to help me, and like a lot of like, oh my God, how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to figure that out? How is this going to happen? I have support. Like, it just happened. I didn't even actually ask. I talked about how painful the process was, and they're like, oh yeah, we can totally help you with that. Like, done. I'm like, this is a 4 line that is like, all it requires is for me as a manifester to initiate, to ask for help, to hint it, to open my mouth, to voice it out, and literally things are happening. I'm like floored. Like I'm just like in disbelief. What else is there? Oh, and then other things. So I was talking to my now former boss about, hey, because he has storage and through the business, and he's like, well, if you need space, I have storage, you can use it. And I was like, really? Oh, but actually he doesn't have that much space in the storage, but there's room in the office. And he's like, you could totally use the office. I'm like, oh. So I'm planning this couch, my beautiful bookcase, and then random stuff like that can fit and it would be tasteful in the office. Like my my drawers by my desk, right? That looks very office-like. It can totally fit. This is not like an old stodgy cushioned couch. This is a very nice leather couch that would totally fit well in the office. So I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to cut down my cost. And I'm evaluating if I really need storage at all, because some things I could put in friends' places. And then other things I can go to the boss's office, and like things are just happening where it's like, oh my God, like all I have to do is speak my desires, and the universe is on my side. So this is what it feels like to really like trust the process, because when I first read this crazy list, I was incredibly discouraged, and I was hitting a lot of resistance, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Like, yes, I want to create beautiful memories, but this is insane. Maybe I should just wait until all the borders are open and there's no crazy requirements. And, but then where's the fun in that? So I think this might be happening. So that is what's unfolded since I learned that Thailand has opened up its borders through their special visa. And I'm still in the process of researching everything. So nothing is finalized, nothing has been confirmed, but in the research process, like I get very, what's that word? I am surprised. I'm delightfully surprised, and I'm leaning in and trusting, because sometimes I'm like, okay, like our profile line, the 4 lines. So in human design, your profile is almost like kind of like your personality, your archetype of your flow in the world. The 4-6 for me is mine, and the 4 is all about my existing networks, and the quality of my life is based on the quality of my relationships and my networks. So for me, it doesn't make sense to reach out to strangers and do anything that is not already in my relations and connections. So it's like people, like my mentor Melanie and Layer talks about people and their power. So it's like, this is me connecting to people and their power. And so I'm just floored that this is truly like my 4 line that's helping me. And it's the energy that I embody. And it showed up when I was, doing Bali and doing all that trip. And I was like, well, maybe that was just, I got lucky, but it's showing up again for me. And it's not just when I travel and like in life, my 4 line really shows up for me. And my 4 is body conscious for me. And then the 6 is more about, it's more obvious to other people, but like now that I know my human design and I'm aware, I can see how it's unfolding, right? So the 6th line is really around integrating my lessons in life, learning, growing, and then sharing with other people. And then basically the older I get, the wiser I become, and it's just sharing the wisdom and the knowledge with other people. So that's the 6. Yeah, it's just living life and it happens. 4 is like watching it happen is pretty incredible. So anyway, that is where things are at. Is there anything else? Here's a random story that I thought I'd share because I think it's funny and amazing. So I've been trying to do research on like travel books. When I went to Bali, I have the book right in front of me right there. It was a Lonely Planet travel book for Bali. And I know travel books are a little bit outdated because there's the internet, and travel books, they're pretty much outdated by the time they're published because it takes a while for them to publish. But anyway, I love travel books because it's easier to read. It's all in front of you. The information is there. You can bookmark, you can flip back and forth. I find it's the best way to do research when you're traveling. I did that when I backpacked Europe. Like I bought this heavy ass book with me as I backpacked Europe. And I only went to like maybe 10 of the countries. That's how much I love my travel books. Anyway, I looked at the ones for Thailand, and most of them, well, they don't have any for 2020. So all of them that I was looking at was for 2019, and that's already outdated, right? Especially since with what's happening in 2020. And so I was like, you know what, before I like invest in a book, I should just check out the library and see what they have. And right now, because of the pandemic, the library is very restricted in their operations. You can't go into the library, but you can put books on hold, and then there's a certain time slots during the different times of the week, different time slots of when you can pick up your books. So mine arrived and I was like, okay, cool. But every time I go by the library when it's during pickup time, there's a huge line, and it looks like it's moving very slowly. And I'm like, I am not waiting in line. Like, I don't enjoy waiting in line. And especially for like library books, I'm like, no. So like, I just do ebooks, right? But I want to read like a physical book for travels. So I was like, fine. So I held one on hold for the library, and it arrived, and I was like, okay, they're open Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday between these hours for pickup. I can walk up without appointment. And then I noticed that there was an app that I could download. There's an app I can download where I can skip the line, and it says that avoid the lines, schedule a slot to book your pickup, and when you arrive, it's called curbside pickup. We will hand you your book, skip the line. There's limited appointment slots. I was like, oh, I'm totally doing this. So I downloaded the app, I found the library, I did all the things. I scheduled between 4 to 5 p.m. on this certain date. And then I went. And then how the app works is you're supposed to let them know when you are on your way. So I did that. When you arrive, you push the button. I pushed the button when I arrived. And then I'm supposed to wait for them to come out. And so I waited. And this was happening during pouring rain. It was dark and it was cold. And I'm outside the library and I see this horrific line. It literally wrapped around because of the holidays. The library was closed so that you couldn't, the typical hours where you can pick up the books, they were closed. So there was a extra long line, and I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not there. In the rain, in the cold, waiting. I'm so glad I learned about this app. But nothing was happening. And so I was like, what? So I called the library and I was like, hey, like I downloaded the app and I followed the instructions, and I don't know if I'm doing it right because I've been waiting, and there's just, I don't know if you guys know who I am, where I am, like how do you identify me? And she's like, oh yeah, with the app, after you do all that, you go in line. And I was like, huh? Like the line outside right now? She's like, yeah. And I was like, and she's like, and then when you come up to the line, I'm like, wait, so I still have to wait in line? I can't just get to the front of the line? She's like, no. And I'm like, what's the point of this app? Like, there's no point to it. And then there was an option for if you need ADA assistance. So she said, only if you need ADA assistance that will come and drop it off for you. So they totally didn't really honor the app, because it wasn't just for ADA assistance. But I was like, okay, never mind, it's fine. So then I went home because I did not want to wait an hour in the rain and the cold for one book that is outdated. So I decided that I'll just get a book through the internet. I'll just buy one on Amazon. And then I talked to Vivi, who I hired to help me with this whole travel thing. And she's like, I don't recommend you getting a book. So I don't recommend you getting a book. She's like, but if you really want to see if you want one, let me send you a link. And she sent me basically a link to a free travel guidebook, which is incredible. So I think I'm just going to read that and use that as a basis to really nail down the places I really want to stay. I love having a physical thing that I could read and flip through, but in this case, it's outdated. I don't do I only do carry-on bags, and it's a backpack, and let's just try it this way. And if I really don't like it, I will buy a book. So anyway, that is my latest adventure in terms of travels. I would love to hear your stories. What's your profile? I use human design in my work. That's a huge focus for me, because it's really around aligning back to your own self and deconditioning from who you think you need to be, and getting back claiming back your power, so that you can really live life in your power and your inner leadership and your courage, your growth, and your own journey of feeling in alignment with your own soul's purpose. And that is covered in all of human design. So my work with human design is really around making your human design fit for you so that you're in true power, true alignment. And so I offer human design readings, and I wanted to share that I have a special that ends at the end of this Friday, right? So end of January 1st, I have Beyond the Reading bundle, because reading is step one. You want to have a reading so that you can get a solid idea of what you're about, where you might have been conditioned, all the pieces that isn't really you, but you feel like you need to be without even knowing sometimes. And that's a really great place to start. And then the next step is to embody your design. And let me know if you have any questions. So let me know how these travel stories go for you. I am having so much fun with them. And what I'm going to be doing today, outside of I have a training coming up soon. Outside of that, I'm going to be dreaming, scheming for travel adventures. So I hope you all have a beautiful December 30th or 31st, wherever you are in the world. More to come, and sending you so much good vibes, wealth, prosperity, good health, and a really amazing 1 to 2 days before the end of 2020. All right, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful day, afternoon, morning, night, wherever you're at. Cheers! Join our free private Facebook group community, Sacred Emergence, to receive more connection, guidance, and support, and take part in our 5-day Inner Confidence Challenge to not only boost your confidence, but to help activate your inner leadership. Details in the show notes. Thank you for listening to the Sacred Emergence podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and thank you in advance for sharing this with others who can benefit. Until next time.